We're going to repair this rust out now, and even though it looks like it would be impossible to repair, we're going to show you how easy it is to repair with the polyester fiberglass resin and fiberglass mat and cloth. We'll sand now to remove all the loose rust. Now we're going to tap the edges in of the repair, just trying to countersink it a little bit. We're going to spray this area to neutralize the rust again with one step. We'll let the one step dry overnight, then we'll come back and sand it. One step will turn into a black primer. It will help neutralize the rust. But it's very important to come back and sand it before applying the body filler or the resin. Now that the one step has dried for 24 hours, we've come back and sanded to make sure we have a good surface for adhesion. The mixing ratio for fiberglass resin is 12 drops of hardener per ounce of resin. We have about 3 ounces here. We're going to be mixing in 36 drops. Okay, we're going to take our pre-cut fiberglass and push it down into the fiberglass resin so that we get good wet out. This is very important. And while the fiberglass is saturating, we're going to go ahead and brush on a coat of resin on the damaged area. You're going to wet the surface real well with the fiberglass resin. That will allow the fiberglass mat to adhere to it better. Okay. We're going to put on our first piece of fiberglass here. Once you apply your first coat of resin and then your mat, and you get your entrapped air out, then you want to come back and with your last coat of resin over the top of it. This same process can be used with all the different layers of fiberglass that you feel like you need. On this particular repair, we are going to be applying about 2 layers of fiberglass mat. It's been a couple hours now since the fiberglass has dried. As you can see, we fiberglass over this very difficult rust out. What we're going to do now is come back and sand it with 80 grit sandpaper to get it prepared for a skin coat of the Bondo body filler. We've just sanded the area of the fiberglass repair with 80 grit sandpaper. We're going to apply a thin coat of the Bondo auto body putty, which will give us a little bit more paintable surface. As you can see, we've come back over the fiberglass repair with a skin coat of Bondo body filler. We've sanded that with 80 grit sandpaper, and now we're ready to prepare the surface for priming. You want to wipe the surface to remove any of the dust. And then we will wipe again with the tack cloth. Which will pick up all the loose dust. Now we're ready to prime this area. Remember to use long strokes and not to hold the can in one area. Keep the can moving. If you were to get any runs in your primer or paint, remember that you can always go back and remove them. Now that we've applied our first coat of primer, we're going to come back and apply a thin layer of the spot and glazing putty. Once we've done that and the spot and glazing putty has dried, we will sand the spot and glazing putty with 220 grit sandpaper. Then we will reprime, sand the primer with 400 grit sandpaper, and paint the damaged area.